This is Your Pain Game podcast, where we talk about the game of living in and with chronic pain and trauma, getting to the heart of how to heal. I am your host, Lyndsay Soprano. On this show, I plan on discussing with doctors, chronic pain patients, holistic practitioners, loved ones, and anybody that is interested in having their voice heard in the chronic pain and trauma world that we live in. So as each episode of this show gets distributed every Tuesday at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, that means another week has passed. And how is it Monday night and I'm still scrambling to make sure everything's good to go. Everything is as perfect as I can for distribution, the little OCD in me. But where did the whole week go? And I used to be able to pinpoint every little thing that I did from a work perspective or that I was doing for everybody else because I was never doing anything for me. And now what I'm finding is so much of my time is actually working on me. And I'm starting to finally focus on me, which is something I've royally sucked at. And it's becoming incredibly joyful for me. Like this light is coming from the inside out. And it's a new feeling and experience for me. I'm used to kind of feeling like an imposter in my own life, right? And as I'm doing this show and continuously taking more and more inventory of myself and my life, I've truly discovered that I lost my light a long time ago. And I've hidden that pretty well behind my depravity, this fantastic personality here, my rebellion, my God, my rebellion, my success. I've been hiding. And then up until the past couple of years, I've started to slowly peek through some of those shadows. And I've decided that I'm not hiding anymore and I'm not going to be hidden anymore. And those are very different. So as I'm doing this work on myself and I continue to look at myself in the mirror, I want to and need to make sure that I remain honest with you, which means I have to be honest with me. And I think the most important part of this show for me, at least, is growing with you. And it's such an awesome feeling. I love podcasting so much. And my guest today does too. She's just like this little fireball and she rocks it. And, but I take it very seriously. It's my full-time job. And I'm actually making money doing this someday. But I don't do it for that, right? I'm having an effing blast. And through all of this tragedy and trauma that myself, that my guests have gone through, I'm able to see and experience how strong we all really are and that it's in us, and that we all have had, through this podcasting, we've all started to kind of come together to try to help heal one another. And it's really quite beautiful when you think about it that way, And what I've found is that in this process of working towards healing, I have to keep in mind that I don't need every episode to be traumatic. But that I do have to ensure that every episode is hopeful. And my guest today, Lauren Abrams, she is not only hopeful, but she is going to talk about her podcast, 52 Weeks of Hope, and how she has been on a Why We Are Here quest after going through some pretty rough patches in life. She's been on Good Morning America, KNX 1070, and ABC News, amongst others. She has a law practice and is the founding member and managing partner of the Employee Rights Law, protecting the rights of employees for over 22 years. And I am so grateful to have you here today, my darling. How are you?
I'm great. And I love listening to everything you had to say. We all need our inner lights to shine.
Yeah. When we did our little meet and greet, you were so awesome about the fact about, since I'm newer into the podcasting world, how I'm finding that people like you, we all just want to help each other out. And it's so cool. It's this random community of people that we're meeting that we're falling in love with so quickly, or we're not, and we're never talking to those people again. And we don't need those people in our life anyway. But it's just, it really, when you said that, it made me feel even more, sparkly and joyful about why I'm doing this and why you're doing this as well. So I'd like to talk about, a million things with you today, but we don't have hours to do so. But I'd like to talk about you, how you started from living on the streets to being this amazingly grateful, hopeful, successful woman in this world. Are you cool with talking about that?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I'm an open book. This far, yeah, I've got no secrets. And well, living on the streets, I used to be strung out, a drug addict. I just always felt different, like I didn't fit in. I didn't have words for that at the time. And so I just kind of gravitated to the alcohol and the drugs. And I was one of those kids. But I took it hard.
To the extreme.
Yeah. And I grew up on the East Coast. And by the time I got to California, I just lived in this abandoned house. I was 83 pounds. I was strung out. I was having seizures. I was in bad shape, really bad shape. I did not know there was a way out. And I had that moment of grace, and I ended up in a rehab, and I got hope. And I've never looked back. I'm so lucky. I know I'm lucky. There's not a moment or a day that goes by that I'm not grateful. I've always given back. And that put me on a road that I've just never looked back at. And I got an education. First I got a job. It's not like, oh, I snapped my fingers and got better. Yeah.
Eat a burger or two.
Yeah, right. And, but slowly I got a job. I started going to school after a couple of years of learning how to just, getting my wits about me and everything else. But I started going to college, and then I got a scholarship to UCLA, and then I went to law school. I got married. I had kids. I got divorced. He gave me full custody. I started raising these kids. I've got a law practice. Always grateful, never forgetting where I've come from to this day. And so when I went through this dark night of the soul, I was shocked. Because I'm always grateful. I'm always giving back. And always also part of me going, oh my God, if people only knew, Beverly Hills lawyer, and people think, oh, you've had the world handed to you. You never know where anyone comes from. You also never know what's going on with anyone. And so when I got through this dark night of the soul, I was like, what the hell was that? Because everyone goes through it. No one goes through life unscathed. It's not like, oh, I had that one thing. I lived through it. I'm grateful. And then I skip through life forever. No. But I went through my questioning, like, why are we here? What's the point? They say nobody on their deathbed ever wished they worked harder, made more money. So I decided to ask a person a week, a much older demographic, what have you gleaned from living life? I want to know. And I started asking a person a week just that question, and people would divulge really personal information to me. And it was so rich and so good. I knew I had to share it. I'd go home after talking to each person and write it up and in my own verbiage. And after 2.5 months, there started to be common themes also. And I thought, I'm going to write one of those books where you open it up and you're like, that's just what I needed to hear.
I needed that today. How is that possible?
Right. Or you close it and you open it again. You're like, no, that's what I needed to hear. And call it 52 Weeks of Hope. And when the pandemic hit, I started podcasting. So, and I love podcasting. I just love it. And I don't think I even listened to podcasts, maybe like Oprah and Brene Brown once, or, I started podcasting, and then I wasn't confined to LA, and I started listening, and we were on lockdown. So I was listening. I was talking to a lot of change agents and leaders at the time about how do you keep community, and just, it was so incredible. And now there's all kinds of healers. And half the time I think it's people I need to hear. And I've gotten such an education.
I totally love that about doing this too. I am like, not even just like you. I'm meeting people that I would never meet. There's no way. Like you maybe because of that us being in LA, but like Australians and people from all over the globe, there's no way I would have run into them had I not started something like this.
Yeah, right. And I thought, oh, I want all these famous people, but now it's the regular people and their stories, because we connect through our stories. That is how we connect. And I will say, after the first 52 weeks, I compiled a list of all the messages of hope, because I ask everybody in each episode, what's the hardest thing you've ever been through? How'd you get through it? And what's your message of hope? So I compiled all the messages of hope from the first 52 weeks into 8 overarching themes, and I call it the meaning of life. And I now know why we're here. I got it.
I love this one here.
Yeah, right.
So are you going to tell us, or is that a teaser?
Yeah, no, of course. So we need, and it's interesting because I took a couple of notes when you were talking in the beginning, we need community. You were talking about, the community. We need community. We are not meant to live in isolation. And even before the pandemic, we were such an isolated society, and it's way worse now. But we're a pack animals. We are. We're not meant. And people that are isolating, their solution to isolation is really more isolation. They just, it's really hard to get out of that. You think, oh, I'm good. I mean, I know isolation. I think I talk about it all the time, and yet I start going, oh, I'm actually isolated myself. We need to physically be with each other. And I work from home now all the time. So I've had to put on my calendar times to go walk with people so that I see people.
Right, outside of Zoom and what we're doing right
exactly.
now.
Because I feel like, oh, I'm connected to you. We talked. I'm on Zoom with you now. It's not the same. It just isn't.
No.
And because I feel like, oh, yeah, I'm connected. I'm on Zoom. I'm on Zoom meetings. I talk to people on Zoom all the time or whatever type of like FaceTime.
Whatever platform we're using on that moment.
Yeah. And so we're meant to connect. We are not meant to live in isolation. We're meant to be in community. And the blue zones where people live the longest, healthiest, and happiest, because why would you want to live the longest if you're not healthy and happy? They have community. That's one of the biggest things about the blue zone. The other thing is love and service. Those are the top. We are meant to love each other and to help each other. So giving back in any way. I don't care if you're cleaning the beach, picking up trash, feeding the homeless, whatever it is, you will feel better after. I never want to go do those things. And I always, 100% of the time, not 99, 100% of the time, I feel better after I've done them. So those are feel good things. If you're not feeling good, go help anyone.
Yeah. And, you were saying something earlier, and people don't know what it's like to walk in everybody else's shoes, and like you were saying, how, oh, you just look like you've got everything together and everything was handed to you and all of that's like, come on, like one day, live your life in my shoes, just one, and let me know how you feel about that after. Yeah. And vice versa, it's the same thing for me too.
Yeah. And they say everybody, if you were all in a group, we'd all put our problems in the middle. We'd all take our own problems back. And I used to think, no, I want everybody else's life. I do not want mine. I want everybody else's problems because I went by everyone's outsides. And that's the whole compare and despair, comparing my insides to your outsides. And you always, I would always lose. I'm not going to talk about anybody else. But I was taught the only comparison I'm allowed is me to me where I've come from. Like, that is it. I am not allowed to compare me to you in any shape, any form whatsoever. It's like I've gotten through things in my past. I will get through whatever it is I'm going through. So today I understand all that. But at the time I heard it, I was like, no, I want everyone else.
Well, it's hard when you've gone through the things that you've been through. And I've been through my own traumas and challenges as well. And it's real easy to hop on the victim bandwagon and look at everybody else's lives and go, well, shit, what am I doing wrong here? Well, the first thing you're doing wrong is worrying about what everybody else is doing.
Right. But you do need to give yourself self-compassion. I keep touching my hand to my chest because this is my new tool. Putting your hand on your heart is a very soothing thing. Whatever you're feeling, it belongs. It's okay. We can't judge our own feelings, and you have to feel your feelings or it's going to come out as trauma in one way or another. And if you're empathetic, which you probably are if you're listening to this, I would imagine. We attract those people.
We do.
Be sure to give yourself self-compassion first before you can't give it to others till you give it to yourself. And putting your hand on your heart and knowing whatever you're feeling belongs is huge. Huge. I've been doing a lot of learning on that in the last 6 months.
Well, and I like that you talk about meditation because myself included, I meditate almost every single morning of my life. And one of the tools that I do is whether it's Insight Timer that plays in my infrared sauna, it's where I do it. So it's good for my body and what this weird disease that I have. But it's also great for my mind and my soul and for everything. Sometimes I'm reading, sometimes I'm doing guided meditation, sometimes I'm just listening to music and I'm stretching in there. But that place is my time and my special self-care place. And one of the things I do is I put my hand on my heart and I put my other on my belly.
Yep.
And it attaches me to me and breath and being grateful for our heart is beating. I'm not thinking about my heart beating. I'm not thinking about having to breathe right now. It's happening naturally. And to be grateful for just those two things is such a wonderful way to start your day, you know?
Absolutely. And I gave myself, I was going to say, I only did 20 minutes. I meditated 20 minutes instead of saying I only,
Only. I
instead
don't
of
care if it's
45
3 minutes.
today. Yeah, exactly. So yesterday I generally do 45 every morning. And yesterday was 30 and today was 20. I have my daughter here still from Thanksgiving and my schedule's a little off. We'll just
Yeah.
kind of leave it at that. And
I think everybody knows that around the holidays too.
Yeah.
We're all losing our marbles.
Yeah. Oh, that's for sure. And so, yeah, so my schedule's a little off, but I make sure, and my kids know that. They've grown up with it. I've gone through when they're really little, they'd meditate. I had the kids' meditations to the eye rolling stage to they just know, oh, mom's meditate. You know,
That's cute, the eye rolling stage.
Always invite them. I'm going to meditate now. Would you like to join me?
Oh, see, now not me. I won't invite anybody to join me because I get so distracted by like what everybody else would be doing. And I'm butt naked in there anyways.
Yeah.
And I won't even invite my sweetie. In fact, it took him a while to respect that time. And not because he's a disrespectful person, but I'd be like in there, like all namaste'd out, and he'd like open the door. Hey, like, what are we going to do for breakfast? I'm like, what are you doing right now? So now it's just the walk by. It'll be slow. Like I know he's kind of peeking in on me, make sure I'm alive. I'm like, the thing turns off at 60 minutes. So we know I'm going to be okay if I fall asleep.
Yeah. And I also do gratitude lists every day. I exchange them with my friends.
That's what I was going to ask you about how you do that. Cause that's really cool. One of my best friends, I brought it up to her and I was like, okay, I'm doing this episode with this chickie and she does this thing with her friends. So I want you to explain because it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. So, and it was, you must have listened to the episode because Nancy said, no, we've been doing it for 13 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
She's like, it's been 13 years. I went, wow. So for 13 years, we exchanged lists with each other. Well, we just make a list of what we're grateful for that day. And we just text. Well, it may have started as text, but we email it to each other. She does hers at night. I like to do mine in the morning. There's no rule. But even if I don't talk to her I know everything going on with her from the gratitude list.
That's so cool.
It's evolved from just car to drive, electricity that works, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it can be simple. There's no rule. It's just make a list of what you're grateful for that day, and we email it to each other. And hers may remind me, oh yeah. So I just hit reply and then send her mine. And it's grown to, I have a separate one with a group of maybe there's 12 of us. I don't know. And then I now cut and paste, but I still tailor Nancy's because Nancy's in mine. I don't know how many she does it with now. She has a big group, but she and I have been, that's the longest running. That's
a long time. Every morning. I mean, that is so core a daily.
And this is the best. Okay. And this I originated, I know, and everything else, who knows? But if you're mad at your partner, write him or her or they a gratitude list. By the time you're done, you'll be like, oh, because I mean, it's silly. If you like really step back and up and look from some higher plane at what's going on, it's not worth it. It just isn't. You look at your end of your life at what those things were, you're not going to remember. I mean, they're silly. So write a gratitude list to your partner and you'll be like, oh, they're great. Because I mean, when I'm really mad, I cannot see that. But when I'm at the end of the gratitude list, I'm like, oh yeah, they're so good. And they're coming from a good place and nobody means to be. They're not a bad person. Even if they are, what are you doing with them?
Maybe that leads to actually a healthy transition that you might be needing to do because that person, you're like, there is actually nothing good about this human for me. Well, I know with my sweetie, my list is long and long and long. And there are days where I'll get so pissed off at the dumbest thing. And then I won't even remember what we're pissed off about, right? It's like, what am I even mad about? Or what am I frustrated with? Or what is it that is even, and then I'll go back and I'll be like, oh, wow. I put that much energy into something that insignificant. What a waste of time where I could have been doing something way better for myself and for the people around me in my life and community.
And it's not good for our well-being. And whatever you focus on grows. That's why gratitude lists are so good. They raise our vibration. There are so many health benefits. I just did an episode about it. And I did all this research. The health benefits, it even improves your memory. I was like, are you kidding? This was a Harvard
Oh, I
study.
need
I
that.
know anything. I was like, okay, I'm all over that. I'm going to do them 3 times a day now.
Yeah.
I'm like, improve my memory. Are you kidding? Yeah, I'm all over it. There were physiological benefits that I had never heard of. I was like,
Wow, that's so cool. Because yesterday, well, with CRPS and any chronic pain junk that we have, a lot of brain fog comes with that, right? So it kind of scares me sometimes. And yesterday, my nieces are twins, and I take them to tea every holiday season, and they get dressed up and they're really cute. They're 13 years old and they're so different from each other. And so last night they were texting on our group little text that we do every week, and like, I don't know what to wear. I'm so worried. And what time are you picking us up? And I had put on my calendar that I was picking them up at 1:45 in the afternoon from school. And they immediately went back to me. They're like, no. Our reservations are at 3:45. And I'm starting to see these like scary memory issues where I'm like, that's not that big of a deal, but they're happening more and more frequently. So I need all the help I can get. And this gratitude stuff I think is so important. And I'm a very grateful person, but I suck at not writing it down or sharing that with others. And I think that that is the wisest thing that we can take away right now, especially during this season where we all want to kind of strangle each other, which is sad, but that's how, I don't know how our society ended up this way, but it did. You know, everyone's like, oh, the rolling of the eyes because it's the holidays and all of that, you know, yeah.
yeah. And whatever you focus on grows. So look for the good.
I feel as we're getting closer to closing the year that I am finding myself every single day more and more grateful, even though there's been a shitstorm of a past couple of years that have just been really, really hard. And I'm seeing where I've come from and being able to reflect and meeting people like you that remind me of that hope and that gratitude. It's really wonderful.
It's true. There's always hope. I've interviewed people that, I can't even believe what some of these people have been through. I mean, I met somebody who was in prison for life. And from there, he was trying to be the number 1 prisoner in this, I mean, terrible, terrible prison. And he was almost there. He was like number 2. And he finally had that moment. That's what it is. It's that moment where he's like, why is this my goal? Did a 180, started getting educated in prison. He speaks it everywhere. He's this motivational speaker, Andre Norman. He's unbelievable. He has spoken at MIT, at Harvard, at Yale, at Oxford. He speaks everywhere. And at one point I said, do you have a message I hope you want to give like I do everyone? He turns around and he says, if you're listening to this, you've got a chance. I live across the street from a cemetery. They don't have a chance anymore. And he went on this diatribe. I shouldn't use the word diatribe because it was so uplifting, so good. I made that its own little separate episode. I mean, he was amazing. I mean, I would never get a chance to meet somebody like this, but it's like you're talking so openly. I mean, we have to be vulnerable. We have to be our authentic selves to worry about what other people think and not talk about it and keep it bottled up. Besides the fact that's going to make you sick, it will come out. I've interviewed enough people to know it will come out. I've learned about breath work and breathing and to breathe into everything, which I find fascinating. I've never been so hyper aware of my breath in my life. Forget the meditation part. Interviewing people that do that is fascinating. But nobody, the what will people think and all that. Nobody's thinking about you. Like I've learned that too. I have absolutely learned that because when I started the podcast, I was like, what will people think? Nobody's thinking about me. Like,
well, I'm thinking about you. I was thinking about you all night last night and this morning.
Yeah, that's different though.
I know. I'm just messing
but really,
around.
like, if you have something you want, this is another one of those messages. Remember the 8 messages? Life's in session. If you have something that you really want to do, you feel like you're not aligned with your life's purpose, and you've got this feeling like I give to everyone else, and there's something I'm meant to do while I'm here. Life's in session. This isn't like a test run or anything else. This is your time now, right now. This is your time. And if you think, oh, but everybody else is already doing it, or everyone has a podcast, everyone's written this book. No, nobody can do it in your voice. Nobody can do it the way you can do it. You have your own unique handprint. Nobody can do it the way you can do it with your DNA. You are here for a reason. And if you can see it, you've got it. You can be it. There's a reason that you can see that and have that vision. Even if you just put 30 minutes a day towards that, this is your time. Do it right now. Like that. This is it.
Yeah, like they always say, what, life is not a dress rehearsal?
Yes.
Yeah, same deal. It's like, hey, I mean, I don't necessarily, some days I feel like I'm on my like 8th life. I'm exhausted, but none of us really know like what happens after we die. I mean, come on. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for that to happen.
Wait, are you kidding? There's no end game. What do you mean waiting? Yeah, there's no end game.
Exactly.
This is it. Here we are. Like,
what are we waiting for? What are we freaking waiting for?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I know a lot of that comes from, the feelings of self-doubt and that incompetence, that we're not going to be able to do it as good as the next guy, or she's better looking than I am, or I look terrible with my glasses and this halo light ring thing. None of it matters.
And none of it matters because you get to do it with your voice, the way you do it. So it's not about being better. It's about you're different. You're doing it.
Well, and it kind of, we had briefly talked about in our little meet and greet about imposter syndrome. And I think that that's something to touch on because that is about the unfounded feelings of self-doubt,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I had never really heard of it, but when I heard it, I was like, oh yeah. I feel like everybody must know who that is, or every female. I can't help it. So I've got blogs on the website about it. I even have a quiz, but I feel like you don't even need a quiz. You know what it is if you feel it. It's when you feel like I'm going to get found out. They're going to find out I don't really know how to do this job, or I don't really know how to do X, Y, or Z. You've applied for this job, you got it, and then you think, oh my God, I'm going to get found out.
Yeah, they're going to know that I don't know half of the shit I said I knew.
And if you got that job, you can do it. You absolutely can do it. I can remember being in the courthouse. I had been practicing 10 years, walking down the corridor thinking, look at all these people. They think I'm a lawyer. And I am. I think I am. I went to good law schools, but like I'm going to get found out. I'm faking being a lawyer, even though I am. Or being at the playground with my kids when they're really little thinking that like I'm adulting and playing as a mom. But, I am a mom. Like I'm still a mom, But it's that feeling that you're a fraud. And so one of the blogs on my website, you're in very good company if you feel like that. It's very high performing women. Meryl Streep, no matter what movie she made, she said she felt like she's going to get found out, that she can't really act. Maya Angelou talked about it when she was alive. Michelle Obama talks about it. Sheryl Sandberg in her book talks about it. Very high performing women who talk about it. So you're in good company. So if you feel like you're an imposter, a fraud, a fake, you're going to get found out. What you have to do is you have to feel the feelings, lean into it. Know that it's fear. It's underlying fear. And you have to tell someone, I'm afraid, or I feel like an imposter, whatever verbiage you want to use. And then feel the feelings. You have to feel them. And if you close your eyes, you can feel where in your body you feel them. And then you feel into it. And they actually, maybe it's your jaw, your stomach. It's always my stomach for me. For something like that. It's usually in my gut. And feel it. And then stay with it. If you can stay with the feeling, it actually moves. And if you can stay all the way through, it will move through your body and it can release. And then you're creating new neurotransmitters, which is really cool.
It's so cool. It's like the only way out is through. I love that line. I love that line so very much.
Yeah.
But it's good. All of this is good. I mean, gratitude and feeling grateful for yourself, too, for the things that you have done and accomplished, not just the things that we have and successes, money and all of that, which is important. But like, I'm proud of myself for today. I'm always a little nervous because I want to be the best that I can be. I listen to my episodes a couple times after they've released. So I learn more and I go, oh, Lyndsay, you could have done that better. Or, that was a silly question, but learning how to be more grateful for this process and for this show and the women that I'm meeting and the men that I'm meeting. These people are just incredible. So I'm really grateful for having met you and having you here today.
Yeah, this is really fun. I'm grateful to meet you too.
Okay, so how can people find you?
It's so easy. 52weeksofhope.com. The number 52, 52weeksofhope.com. And I've just started doing these clarity and confidence boost sessions, which are in beta. So if anybody wants to get in early, and you can just go to the website for that too, or contact me. And even Insta's at 52 Weeks of Hope.
Yeah, and I'll put everything in social and on show notes as well. and link out to everything that I possibly can for you as well. Is there anything that you want to leave our listeners with today outside of be as grateful as humanly possible?
Yeah, everything passes. Everything always works out, not on our timeline, but it just does. So just hang in there. Hang in there. There's always hope. There just is.
I love that. There is always hope. And hope can be scary too, but it's a good kind of scare.
Yeah.
Well, let the hopeful journey begin for all of us, right? If we're not there yet, let's get there together, because I certainly am more grateful even just by the minute during this show. So thank you. You are exclusively invited to share this hopeful and grateful VIP pain journey together. Let's get to the heart of how to heal with you by my side. Please follow the Pain Game podcast wherever you digest your podcast content. We'll be there. Visit us at thepaingamepodcast.com and follow us on all the socials. Thanks for listening, my little VIPs. Catch you on the other side.